And I'm gonna just check that we are live here on my page and make sure that my group, the parenting group, I have a parenting group called Parent from Love, and I used to go live over there. I'm gonna share it over there, and just bear with me till this comes up. Yes, I think we are live. I'm just gonna share it. All right. Okay, so let's see. We're there. All right. So I think it's shared over there.
I'm getting a lot of echo. Can you hear that?
Yes, I've probably just share later. So I just wanted to people that want to join, but it's okay. I couldn't share it. So hello, everyone. Hello, beloveds. This is Dr. Arayeh, your rapid transformational coach in the areas of parenting, relationship, and life coaching. And if you like to claim your right to live with joy and peace and love, head on to my website, drarayeh.com, and make your free 30-minute consultation. And today I have a special guest. And the reason I say special, because we are going to talk about the most problematic issue in families right now, in the lives of my many clients, students, myself included. So a lot of people who are my audience know I have so much aversion about this phenomenon. And I do believe I've done tons of research. I do believe this phenomenon is completely addictive, and we are all struggling with it, even as adults. So I brought Mandee, who is a Screen Strong ambassador. She's going to talk about this service, fabulous service, who is helping families with this struggle. So I want her to introduce herself. Tell us how many kids you have, why you came to this journey, how the services and your knowledge is helping you and your family to create more peace at home, more connection at home. And also tell us why actually you are doing what you're doing. What are your scientific research and your personal professional research that is, for those of you who are new to this, and I know everyone is struggling, but not everyone knows what's going on exactly, what is a big deal about this, and why people make a big deal out of it, because I do. So I want her to introduce herself and take it away, Mandee.
Great. Thank you so much for having me tonight. This is super exciting that I get to represent Screen Strong and really just talk about what it's been for our family the last about 10 months. So my name is Mandee Hamann. I currently reside in Des Moines, Iowa, which is my hometown. So Midwest, we're in the Midwest where it's cold, very cold right now, and it feels very Christmassy at the moment. But we have 3 children. I've been married to my husband for almost 21 years, and we have a 12-year-old boy, 15-year-old girl, and almost 17-year-old boy. Okay, so we're in the thick of the teenage years. And then we also have that tween, stage going on too. So oh my goodness, the screen thing that we're going to talk about tonight has really affected our family in major ways, like it has a lot of families. So I guess I'll just kind of start from the beginning as far as like how we stumbled across Screen Strong and how it's brought us now today. But so we thought we were really conservative in our screen use in our home. We thought that we did everything right. We were being very kind of leery of giving our kids devices early on. We did plenty of like video gaming and things like that, but never, I wouldn't consider us a gaming family. Like we weren't, obsessive about it. We'd get maybe a new game system at Christmas. The kids would play it when friends are over. So that wasn't super problematic in our life, although that's fairly existent in our life now, which is great. But what we did was we waited until 14 to give a smartphone. Okay, which is kind of, you would find generally that's a rule of thumb that a lot of organizations are pushing, and that you might hear from the doctor, pediatrician, they're saying wait till 8th grade, 8th or 9th grade. However, and again, I'm just speaking from my personal experience, and there's lots of scientific data out there now that's been coming out over the past few years that is overwhelming, but I'm speaking from my own personal experience that I think a lot of parents will probably relate to. And that is that although we waited, and I put all the filters on and I did all the things and I stressed about whether my kids were looking at things. And we've got really good kids. And I think every parent would say that, like I trust them, right? These are the things that would come out of my mouth. I trust my kids. I've taught them to do right. Um, they're not going to do what I hear other kids do on their phone. I've got filters on it. I've got parental controls that are going to tell me this, that, and the other. What started to happen though, I think surprised us. And I mean, I have a video on Facebook. People can probably go back and see from when we gave our son, our oldest at 14, his phone, and he cried. He cried. We had just moved across the country to Texas 3 years ago. We're back now. And at the time, it was a really big deal because he was so sad to have left his friends here in the Midwest. And so it was that connection. And we were thinking, we're giving him this connection to his friends. He's going to, love us for this. And he did. He cried. He was genuinely so happy to get that phone. Well, fast forward a few months, and he never had social media. He had TikTok for a time, which ended up being his demise with the phone. But early on, there was no social media or anything at that time because still we were trying to be careful. We were trying to do it right. But what we started seeing is that we were losing our son. Like he was changing before our eyes. He was angry and mad at everything. He was treating his sister terribly as a girl, as a female. And I was kind of like, what's he watching? Like, what's he being exposed to? Like, this isn't how we act in our home. Like, this isn't how my husband treats me. Like, what is he seeing here? And so, we question things. And I look back now and I think at the time, like he was always my very spirited child growing up. That's what I call him. And so when he's quiet, then it made me feel like everything's at peace, right? He's quiet. But what was happening was he was like this in the other room watching God knows what. I mean, it was probably, it was YouTube. And I didn't know what was influencing him, what was going on. So red flags started happening. And my husband and I started saying things like, we wish we would have never gotten him that phone, but we can't take it back now, So that started a 2-year journey with our son of just lots of fighting, lots of arguing. Everything was around that phone. Well, about a year and a half after he got his phone, his sister turned 14. And she's the responsible one and the one that's going to be able to handle it, right? And so we give it to her because, hey, that's what you do. You wait till 14. So she's going into her freshman year and is begging for Instagram. Okay. Because again, to keep in touch with all her friends. And what ends up happening there as well backfires. No matter how many conversations we had and talking about her self-worth and trying to do everything right as a parent and be there for her. What I didn't realize what was happening is that she was, she'll tell you now because of her journey, but that she would come across things she didn't want to see, but she'd keep looking at because it's available for parents or for kids on Instagram. Parents don't realize no parental control is going to control your child's social media account. There's just nothing. You're not even going to get alerted unless they screenshot something or send it to somebody. So I didn't really know what was going on. So then she starts dealing with anxiety. I mean, we're talking, this girl is a very happy-go-lucky girl, would never think she would deal with this. In her freshman year, she got so anxious and started to develop this social anxiety, didn't want to leave the house, wouldn't even go sit outside on our porch swing, just very inward. And again, my red flags start going off, but you start going, what do we do about this? We already gave this to them. How do you take it back? And now I hear a lot of parents tell me that, like, how could I ever take it away? Within this same amount of time, our 12-year-old, who at the time was 9 or 10, I discovered a couple things on a Samsung, not an iPad, but a tablet by chance out of his curiosity that I found. And that broke my heart because I thought, oh my gosh, we've talked about these things. How could this happen? And it was something, again, he looked up because he didn't know what it meant. And here I find what he'd seen. And of course, it wasn't anything good or healthy. It was not. It was very crass and terrible. And I was like, oh my gosh. So all of these things are kind of happening simultaneously in our family, who we would have considered ourselves very careful. We had considered ourselves very much aware of what was going on in our kids' life. Also, though, I was very exhausted from constantly worrying about it and checking phones and policing. And I didn't want my kids to feel like I didn't trust them. And I wasn't trying to find something bad, but I was just so concerned that they were being affected, So last March, out of a fluke thing, I happened to be in North Carolina, helping a friend who needed some medical help there, and found out that that's where the founder of Screen Strong lived. And her and I were able to connect through a mutual friend who had been telling me about her. As I would share my issues with my friend, she'd say, "You've got to check out this organization, Screen Strong. I mean, this gal's got a great story. And I know you think your kids are good, Mandee. I know, but they're kids and they're going to mess up." And, so she kept encouraging me probably for about a year. And then I met Melanie. So Melanie is the founder of Screen Strong, and her and I sat at a Starbucks one day for a couple hours, and she shared with me her story, which involves her son, Adam. And you can find her story on she's got a podcast now, Screen Strong Families, which is excellent to go check out. And
she's going to be one of our guests. She's going to be my guest hopefully soon. Yeah.
Yes. And then so she can tell more of her details of her story, because it's so, it's sad. And her story happens around video games because her oldest son, who I now is in his 20s, but he dropped out of college due to an addiction to video games that started around age 12 or 13. So she's really passionate about the video game thing. And that's changed even more so in the last decade, even more. I mean, the stuff the kids are exposed to on video games and the addiction level is just unreal.
Yeah.
So it's a major problem around the world, but especially in America. And then you've got now added in social media and people having the internet, kids having internet in their pocket earlier and earlier. So anyhow, I sat down with her and told her, shared kind of what I just shared with you, my story. And she handed me her books and said, let's keep in touch. And I was super passionate about it. And by the time I got home, I had made a plan. Now, mind you, this was about a week before quarantine hit. So we were going into spring break. What timing was that? So we go into spring break, and we never went back to school after spring break. So going into spring break, I basically said things are going to change after spring break, sat everybody at the table. My husband was on board. We'd had conversations, and oh my goodness, you'd think that their world had ended because mom was going to take away the phones for amount of time, and by this point, let me back up. 3 months prior, right around my son turning 16, there was just a couple issues on his phone, and they weren't even major probably in a lot of people's books. But to me and my husband, it was like, we're not going to gamble with this anymore. Like, you've misused this phone this way. And so we actually took his phone away and said, you may get it back by the time you're 18. We'll see. So at this point, he was already about 2 or 3 months without his smartphone. And we had gotten him a Gab phone, which is a talk text only phone, which is great, and one that Screen Strong endorses because you can't get on the internet. It's wonderful. Mm-hmm. And so to the parents who think they can't take it away, you can, and it's not fun at first, but oh my gosh, has it paid off. So kind of going into our story there, I sat the kids down and just said, hey, we're going to take this Screen Strong challenge. It's a 7-day thing. We're going to go off our devices. Dad and I are going to try to do as much as we can. I mean, it's different for adults. We use our phones differently than kids do. But we were very mindful. Oops, I'm so sorry. I'm getting a call. Do you still have me?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I thought I had my phone on Do Not Disturb, but something still came through. So anyway, that kind of started our journey, and we went into quarantine. Oh my goodness. Little did I know that was coming, right? And, but it ended up being a huge blessing because we were forced to find something to do, right? We didn't have our thing. So we got on Amazon and got like some extreme dot to dot things, or painting, and just all these different hobbies that I would have probably never thought to get before. And that started our journey. So fast forward to today, just to give you a little where we're at now, 10 months later, I'm so proud of my kids. And my husband and I shake our heads and go, we have our kids back. We got our kids back. Like, we were losing them. Mm-hmm. My daughter no longer has anxiety. We were at the point we went to the doctor for a wellness check, and my daughter mentioned she had anxiety, and this doctor on the spot wrote her a prescription for Prozac.
Yeah.
And I was going, what? Wait, I'm sorry. Are we going to do an intake form? Are we going to figure out why she has anxiety? Are we going to, and I said, no, thank you. No. We got in the car, and that day is when I told my daughter, you're going off Instagram. We're going to, and the way I approached it was, hey, we're going to experiment with this, and we're going to take away Instagram for 30 days and see how you feel. And wouldn't you know that she started to snap out of it. So she gradually got Instagram back on my phone. She checks it maybe twice a week. It's a completely different scenario now. And now she's older. I mean, she's going to be 16 soon, but it's a way to stay connected, or like post a silly picture of her dog, and but she doesn't have any desire to sit there and scroll anymore. And she talks very openly now because she sees how it's affecting her friends. And so my son is a totally different. I was losing my oldest. I mean, I know I was losing him to, I didn't even know what. I didn't know who was in. All I knew is I was fighting something, a video, whatever he was watching was fighting with what our values were as a family. And he wasn't hearing our voice anymore.
Yeah.
And to take that away, he's just a different kid. He's found things to do outside. He found odd jobs to do all summer, even during quarantine, would wash people's cars. And I would just sit there and go, is this happening? Like, so I hope my story can bring hope, but
you have no idea. Every cell of my body is happy for you.
Oh, good.
I really am, because
it works.
It's just because I keep saying that to my son, like, I'm losing you. It's just, he's such a wise boy, and and actually he's coming to understand that it's affecting his own brain. So I see it in his face that he's worried about it. So I'm not, I haven't been so brave to do what you did, but I'm like so strong, and I always recommend to the people come across my path that it's us that we need to hold the grounds, because consider this as total addiction. This is the same neural pathway in our brain as heroin. We can't expect an addicted person not to use the drugs or not to use alcohol.
Yes.
There's no way that we should even, like, we should release the expectation completely of our children that they're able to regulate them. So they can. There's no way they
cannot.
And when you were talking about like the scenes or the websites that were on, I don't think that's even a big huge problem. The problem is just this scrolling and never being satiated with the amount of information. I was just talking to my son today, and I asked him, what do you think is addictive? What is, for example, when someone uses the drug is addictive. When someone is addicted to junk food, the sugar is addictive. What is addictive in this situation, like in gaming or social media, TikTok or whatever? And it's like people. I'm like, no, I wish, but no, it's not people. It's actually information. Our brain gets addicted to information with every swipe. This new rush of dopamine, right? It's because it's new information, new picture, new scenery in gaming, for example, new person coming, new sound, new buzz, new color. So all this information becomes addictive to the brain to such a point that you are literally like that. They become literally like addicted people. Like, oh, take it away. Like I one time I experimented with it, and I gave all the apps to my daughter without any control for 3 days, because I gave up. I said, you know what? I'm fighting you guys, and it's not worth it. We should fight against this. I call it the dark force. We all should fight the dark force. We shouldn't fight with each other. So, I give up. So she had it for 3 days, everything, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram. After 3 days, she came to me and she gave me her phone. She said, Mom, I can't anymore. I'm depressed. So, for example, for girls, because they're so much into social media, not so much for boys, but for girls, as you said, it's all about self-worth. They see all these, these poses with different girls, different boys, and they feel lesser than, either it's finances or looks or whatever. So there's so many layers, and I salute you for what you did. Wow. Because
I mean, it wasn't easy at first, and I think a lot of my own peers and friends and even my family at first was kind of like, whoa, you're really kind of going overboard here. But now the people that are close to our family realize what a gift this has been, because what I've said to my kids now because now that they're on this other side of it, they can see it for themselves and they can understand the science of it. I'm not even a real sciencey person, but when I realized reading Melanie's stuff and all of the information she's got for free for parents, when that clicked with me, that their brains aren't developed. And so what am I doing with their brain? And what really, the line I said to my husband that kind of got him on board, and we finally just said, we're doing something different, was I don't want to experiment with this. I would rather experiment the other way and take the things away and replace it with family time and games and art and all the things that they're now doing 10 months later. If we had never taken those away, I can guarantee you our home would be in distress. We would not have peace. we sit around the table and talk for hours after dinner and sit there and laugh and have inside jokes. Like these things were not happening when that screen was in front of their face. It was replacing, it was isolating them. It was isolating all of us from each other when you're on that screen.
Yeah.
So it's just so worth it. Even though it's hard, it's so worth it.
Okay. Thank you so much for mentioning that, because for people out there, we as parents, we have, work to do, right? We're both like me and my husband, we have work and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just expecting our children not to be on screening and for us to have whatever we had before, it's not going to happen. As you did, you
Mm-hmm.
had to make a sacrifice, right? You had to, especially at the beginning, get them started, because the root of addiction is lack of connection.
Mm-hmm.
So when we feel disconnected from ourselves and from the people around us, from nature, we feel disconnected inside. And addiction, what's the definition of addiction? It's just an activity that will make us feel good on a temporary basis.
Yes.
Right?
That's really good. I've never heard it said that way before, but that makes so much sense. So when you've got kids that are isolating from a young age, and we're talking 8, 9-year-olds are getting phones now and have social media in front of them. And you're like, oh my gosh, what are we doing to this upcoming generation? Why can't people see that this is happening? But that makes so much sense. If they're isolated and not connected, they're going to go to whatever's making them feel good, because it's not a real person. It's a information or the scroll or,
Exactly. So here's where we have to make a lot of sacrifice. At least we call it ushering or stewing. Like we have to at least get them established on a station, like art or something, connect to them. For example, I have some students that say, okay, I tell them to give up the game. We have digital contracts and all those things, but they don't give up the game, right? So I say, again, you're taking something away that is making him feel good, but you're not replacing anything, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's what we need to do. Like I told them, I know it's so hard, especially with the gun games, because I absolutely hate them, but you have to kind of join them, say, what you doing? Or did you do that? Or did you do this? So you're connecting for a couple of minutes. And then, you say, okay, time is up, honey. Let's go jump on trampoline or something, that to replace something in a connected way. So here's the tricky part. Like, we don't want them to be on screens, but we don't want to do anything either. That's not going to happen. I don't believe it, because it could, but it's going to be really nasty. There's going to be a lot of power struggles. You hate me, you don't want me to be happy, right? All those words. I'm sure you've heard of them before, but we have to make a sacrifice and really do something, invest in time and energy in connecting with them, make them feel good. Like, I was talking to my son today and said, let's have some family time, family lunch and stuff. So, and you were talking and I was tickling him, and I told him, are you thinking of Fortnite? And he said, no. I said, see, you're feeling connected, you're feeling loved, you're not thinking about that anymore. Because it's either or, right? We want to feel good. That's what humans, do. We want to feel good. Now we're looking for stuff to make ourselves feel good, right? We have that void in us that needs to be filled with something. If we don't fill it with positive things, then it's going to get filled with negative things. So this is where parents come in. Like, we are the authority. Dr. Shefali is my mentor. She always says, because she's a founder of conscious parenting. I don't know if you have heard of it.
I have.
You have? So conscious parenting is like children and parents are equal in value, right? But she says, use your authority for this. Do not use your authority for anything else. Always a win-win solution. Always you're coming, but this, use your authority. Even we come up with a digital contract, but we are the one who's holding those, rules. Because I know a lot of parents would say, oh, I wish I could, take it all away. And they can't, probably. They're not, they don't have the luxury of, you wow, or I don't know, the luck. You're so lucky, I want to say, or whatever. I don't know what happened in your family. I wish I was.
You can do it. You can do it.
I can do it. Okay. I took the challenge, actually. I printed it. I gave it to my son, and he's like, I'm going to crumble. I'm going to crumble it. I'm going to tear it up. No, I don't want to do this.
Well, something that Melanie, when you dive into getting to know her and listening to her stuff, what she a lot of times says is that you're the coach. And when you look at like how a coaches a team, that's how we as parents need to be to our children. We cannot treat them like they're adults before they're adults. They are adult apprentices. They're learning how to be an adult. So we have to literally teach them how to do it. And when you understand the brain isn't developed till almost 25, we cannot expect them to even look at the challenge and go, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll do it. They don't think they're having a problem, which is why, I mean, Melanie will say too, like, you're not going to give your child small doses of a drug to prepare
Exactly.
them for a bigger drug later. Like, that sounds ludicrous. But when you, again, the science of it, and you realize the digital, what we're dealing with right now in society, that is a drug. It's giving you the same dopamine hit. Then that's what empowered me to go, okay, this is not an emotional decision. This is common sense right now. I have to save my child's brain.
Yes.
And it's going to make them unhappy at the beginning. But once they're detoxed, just like an addict that's detoxed from their drug, they're going to see clearer. They're going to appreciate life. They're going to be happier, and you're going to have a peaceful home, and it's worth it. So I'll say to you, like, it's worth it. There's no, even though it seems really hard, and, oh, I could never do it. You can, and anybody can, because it's not about restricting what they can do. Because don't you feel like you're doing that? You're restricting their time. Oh, you can only be on Fortnite for 30 minutes, timer's going off, or, I'm going to restrict your phone. You can only do this. There's all this restricting going on, and it's exhausting for both parties, for both child and parent. But if you stop worrying about restricting and instead just replace that time they would have been doing that game, or they would have been on their phone, replace it with something else, you're going to start to see results.
Exactly. That's what I do. I have some detox until I get there. So I have like 1-2 days, it's complete detox, like nothing, no screening. So maybe just a family movie. We have like 1-2 days that I keep telling them, I don't want this to be part of you. Like the phone, for example, they don't even have, my daughter's 13. She doesn't, right now she hasn't had the phone for 3 months. So I take it for long periods of time, so they don't get, it doesn't become an extension of their hand. So even if they have it, they don't have it all the time. So although the apps are also restricted, but they don't even have the device. So
that's good.
It's because I don't want them to think this is part of their hand. It's like stuck to their hand. And that's what we see.
The children that don't have the smartphones really are going to have an advantage later on. They just are, because they're going to have the experiences, the memories, the life skills, the hobbies. They're going to have all these things that their peers are not going to have, 5 or 10 years from now. There are so many children, unfortunately, that are growing up right now that even 10 years from now are just going to be like, I don't even know what they're going to be like, but the kids that don't have those
not humans. That's what I say. I don't think we are like the next generation. Are not humans. I don't think. When you're completely like I know it's really harsh and brutal, but I don't think so. The most important thing is not to be okay with being by yourself. Not to be like, boredom is just, I'm bored. Okay, it's okay. Boredom is like meditation.
Great.
It's okay. You become creative. So it's really scary. It's dangerous when our children now cannot be okay, comfortable with by being, just I'm me and I'm bored. Okay, let me think. They don't get that chance. They don't get that chance because they're always stimulated.
Yes.
So our time is up. I know you have to go, but if you give our audience one piece of advice that will make this journey, I know that's the best advice, to take it away, but make it a little bit easier. What would that be?
It is really hard to make decisions without information. And I think a lot of reasons that parents don't change in this area is because they don't have the education, they don't understand, and it just seems too hard. So my biggest piece of advice is to educate yourself. If you have that gut feeling that something's off and that your child can't handle the tech, because they can't, science tells us that, the studies are coming out, our children cannot handle the tech that the tech companies are creating to be addictive. Okay, they don't stand a chance against those companies and those neuroscientists. So I say to parents, educate yourself, because once you understand what's really going on here, you will make changes to save your child's life. And you don't feel like you just have to do it on your own. I'll just give a quick plug for Screen Strong, because that's been my community. And, we've got a group now that's grown to over 1,000 people just in the last like 90 days. It's crazy. It's called Screen Strong Families right here on Facebook. It's a private parents group. You're going to be accepted. You've got a couple questions to answer to get in there. But what we're seeing is that this is an issue and parents need community because they feel so alone. So educate yourself, find your community, find your tribe that you can talk to. And that's why this group is great. People post in, and I think you're in that group. People post in there and say, oh my gosh, this is working. We did the 7-day challenge and now we've done it 30 days. And oh my gosh, look at my kids playing with Legos again. Or, oh my gosh, my kid went outside without me telling him to. It's amazing what potential you'll see come out of your kids when you take away the screens. So that's my biggest piece of advice.
Fantastic advice. Just leave the comment with to that the link to that group as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Will do.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mandee.
Yep. Okay. I will talk to you soon. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yep.
Have a good night.
You.
Bye.
Yep. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the information, and I know it's kind of scary, but we have to make it work, right? We are the usherers of our children, right? It's just, I was really scared today when my son couldn't do a math problem, and he's really good at math, but he couldn't because, and he was surprised himself. He's like, I can't think. He just blanked out. And I was like, oh my God, I think it's too much screening, mommy. It's affecting me. So check out their group. It's fantastic. Take the challenge. I printed it, but I haven't been able to implement it yet in my family. But hopefully, maybe we can do it in the group Parents from Love. All your parents out there, come join us. Parents from Love. That's my group, and Scream Strong is their group as well. So I just want to announce something. I am going to have a conscious parenting group coaching, 6-month group coaching, starting probably in March, the beginning of March. So this is the first time I'm announcing it. I am going to leave a flyer everywhere in a few days, and just make your free 30-minute appointment with me. Head on to drarayeh.com and call, and let's figure out either I can serve you one-on-one in life coaching, conscious parenting, and relationship. But also, if you'd like to join my group coaching, it's a 6-month group coaching, and also it's included 3 hours of private coaching is also included in the package. I also have a conscious parenting mini course that is included. So please go ahead there, click on the free 30-minute consultation and make your appointment so you can talk with me for free, and we can figure out, because I am going to take only 10 to 15 people. So I want to interview people to figure out, because we're going to be together for 6 months. I want to have a really nice group so we can help each other, and it will be a haven for us to grow ourselves and be conscious for our children. So we can actually elevate the consciousness of the world, because I do believe conscious parenting is a tool to heal our planet. Everything starts with parenting. So thank you so much. I'm going to leave a comment. I'll leave the link to my free 30-minute consultation. Go ahead and click that, and let's just chat. Share this with your friends. I used to make live videos in my close private group, Parents from Love, but since last week I'm making it on my public page so people can share, because people wanted to share and they couldn't. And so please share with your friends and invite your friends to come to my group, Parents from Love, and to Screen Strong group as well. I send you my love, and I see you next week. Bye now.